Welcome, everybody, to Bail Agents of Change podcast. I'm your host, Scott Jones, coming to you from the Sober Life Studios right here in South Florida. And this show is brought to you by One Brother, One Sister. OneBrotherOneSister.com. If you want to find out more about what they do, or what we do, I should say, we train first responders, veterans, bail agents, and of course work with our community heroes, anybody who wants to make a difference. And for our first responders and our veterans, they don't pay. We simply take donations, sponsorships, so that we can bring information about trauma, about PTSD, about addictions, about mental health and alcoholism. We arm them with the information they need so that it can help themselves and help people in the community. So this is an important mission that we're on. Find out more, go to OneBrotherOneSister.com. Every donation goes 100% towards helping a first responder with an issue. But the Bail Agents of Change, we've been working with bail agents for a while here, working back all the way back when we were working with DOG and PBUS and a lot of other places. And now we're kind of reconnecting with our friends in the bail industry, and we're trying to make a difference in how bail gives opportunities for people to get mental health and addiction and alcohol treatment. This is an important mission, and I'm so proud to be on it. And thank you again for watching us. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with your friends. I've got Jeff Berry with me. He comes to me from Louisiana.
That's correct.
All right. Thanks for making the flight down, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
That's great. And you are the owner of Jeff's, is it Jeff? Yeah, Jeff's Bail Bonds.
That's correct.
I like it. Keep it straight and simple.
Yeah.
To the point. But Jeff, I mean, you're not, this is a brand new venture for you. Jeff's Bail Bonds just started shortly ago, and you're rocking and rolling here. But you've been in the business 24 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. First, we got to ask, what brought you into bail bonds? Was it because you watched a TV show and wanted to do it or something? Was it friends, family? How'd you get in?
It was friends. So I was hanging out around an office where someone I knew was working at. And the gentleman asked me to work there. And I started working for him, and I actually loved it. And I've been in, on and off since then.
Now, but I got to ask, before you went into the bail industry, most people have an idea about what it is. Were you kind of like shocked at what really goes on there as opposed to what you might have thought? I mean, there's a lot more paperwork and social work than there is chasing people down the street, right?
Yes, there is. No, I was very surprised at what it all entailed. It's a lot.
It is a lot. And unfortunately, people don't know about that. So we're going to talk about that today, about what bail bond, what they do, and more importantly, all the things that people don't know that you do behind the scenes with people. Now that Jeff's Bail Bonds, you decided to work with your brother and your mother. Am I right?
Yeah, I'm going to get them to come work with me. Yes.
Family business?
Yeah.
Because I know you've been at other places and now you want to do it this way. What do you have something in your mind that makes you say, I want to do something different? I want to do something. Is there anything that's kind of driving you to open your own place?
Yeah. I just like to be on my own.
All right.
And also I just have different things that I want to do without, any other input.
Right. And what are these things? Is this about the care you take with your clients, or is this, what exactly are we talking about here that really drives you? What is it that you want to accomplish here?
Going the extra mile and helping people out.
Okay.
Especially people that come out of there that you can tell they need help. And that's what you guys do. You guys are teaching us how to take notice of when someone needs help.
Right. Right. Exactly. And that's important. That's important because at one time, you and I both have been through addictions and other things, and we've needed help at a time. Is that part of what drives you, is because somebody helped you?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, cool. Let me ask you this. 24 years ago, bail was one way. Has there been changes over these last 24 years? Because I think we pay more attention to people's mental status and addictions than we used to. Is that true?
Yeah. Some people do, some people don't. A lot of people, it's just about the money.
Yeah.
And we have a reputation of people thinking that's all we do is take people's money and that's it. It's just a lot more to that. especially if you get involved and you know how to connect with the people who come into your office. I have gotten people hooked up with you guys recently since I've met you guys. I met you guys October 24th, 2024, and I've already sent, 2 or 3 people to Joe Kelly. And he was just like so on point with getting them into a rehab center. And I tried to get some more, but not everybody wants help, obviously, because that was me at one time as well.
Yeah, of course.
But the people that wanted to go were extremely happy with it and extremely happy with what you guys have done.
Does that make a difference when if they're bailed out, they get a bond and they're out on the street? If one person goes to a treatment center, one person just goes on the street. Now, eventually, they still have to step in front of a judge. Do you think that makes a real impact, the fact that they took that time to make changes in their lives? Does that help when they go to court?
It does. It depends on if they're doing it for the right reason and the judge sees that they're doing it for the right reason.
Right.
Because a lot of people will try to go do a 30-day program and say, hey, I did this, but they've done it multiple times. So if the judge sees that you're doing it multiple times, no, he's not going to cut you any slack. But in the beginning, yes, they will. They take that into consideration.
Because, just throwing people in jail, it's not what anybody really wants to do. They want to see change.
That's correct.
And of course, that's a good reflection on somebody like you, who's a participant in that kind of change.
Right.
And I think we need to highlight some more of that in the industry. The good deeds aren't really broadcast anywhere. Nobody listens to. Somebody does something wrong, front page news, everybody knows. But there's a lot of good deeds that go on by a lot of great organizations, right?
Yes, there is. Well, I'm going to tell you what really helps out a lot is the reviews. When you help someone out and they give you a good review,
right,
and people on the street that are struggling see that, or the parents or whoever's getting this person out of jail and they think they need help, it allows them to open up to you more when you put it out there that you have been down the same road that they have.
Right.
And, especially like with, the family thing, when you're out there and you're struggling with alcoholism or addiction or mental health, the things that your family or the family members go through or have went through, I have experience with that. So I'm able to open up to the person that comes out of jail that is dealing with alcoholism or addiction and or the family.
So you got a really good advantage. You can look at the situation and you can see the stuff that's beyond what's right in front of you because you understand that.
Yes.
Something that drove them. I believe the last numbers I heard was somewhere like 80% of people that are arrested, there's either drugs, alcohol, or mental health involved. Does that stand true to what you know? Does that sound right?
Yes, sir. I think so. I think the number could probably be a little bit higher.
Yeah, I think it probably could be. I think you're right. And a lot of the people that you help, I think people get this idea they're going to see some biker, right out of Sons of Anarchy, walking around with a sawed-off shotgun under his coat. Right. And they think that's the people you deal with. But although that does happen, most of the people you deal with are people who just make mistakes, isn't it?
That is correct. Yeah. So you got to look beyond that and see the person, see what's good in the person. Like me, myself. I was like that for 34 years. I lived like that. I was an alcoholic and, at 13 years old, I started doing cocaine at 13 years old. I lived like that for 34 years. Until I decided to get sober on June 26, 2023. I went to rehab.
Wow.
Yeah. So it helps me connect with the people. And once I make that connection, it opens up so many doors for more conversation to actually hook them up with you.
Yeah. Or getting them help wherever you can find the help. Certainly we're one option.
Right.
Sometimes people can't leave a state. They have to go somewhere, or sometimes they just need a mental health checkup or something.
Yeah.
But those are things you pay attention to.
I do.
Why? Why is that important to you that you do that?
Because I was there. When those family members come in, I look at my family members.
Yeah.
Or when those people come in from walking out of jail, I look at myself, and I feel it. Not only am I, I've been there. Right. So the experience is what taught me, and I'm able to connect with these people just like that.
That's awesome. And it's got to feel good that you're making a difference and not just collecting a check. That's important.
Well, I'm trying to make a difference.
Well, you are. If you help one person, you work your whole life, you only save one life.
Right.
It's still worth doing, because it's a life. And here you've got a chance to really affect a lot of people. Now, this is relatively new. Now, there are agencies, bail agents that I've met throughout the years, that have always quietly kind of gone above and beyond. But we're trying to make this an industry standard where you guys all should be doing that. Isn't that true?
Yeah, I do. And that's what you guys are teaching.
Right.
Y'all go around the country teaching that class, which y'all taught at the Louisiana Bail Association last year.
And yeah, exactly. And gave you guys an opportunity to find out what we do and how you can get involved. Speaking of the Louisiana Bail Association, you've been a member of them for a while and you still will be. And are those associations important? You know, because you can't just have everybody off doing their own thing. There's got to be some kind of standard, right? Does the association help establish those standards?
It does. It also fights for the people who are against bail. They put in a lot of their own time, a lot of their effort to fighting for, to keep us in business.
Well, you just brought up the elephant in the room, which is there has been a lot of talk about bail reform, which is a stupid word, by the way. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not reform. They want to eliminate it. It's not reform. Reform is when you sit down and say, how can we change this and make it better?
Yes.
And everybody would sit at that table. Bail agents, politicians, how can we make it better? Let's work together. But that's not what they're talking about, are they? They're talking about just getting rid of it.
Yeah, well, they have done that in 2 states.
There's 2 or 3. Yeah. I know Jersey was one.
Well, Illinois is definitely one.
Illinois is one.
And from my understanding, it's not working good at all.
In New York, I think they got rid of it, then they brought it back. I'm
Yes.
not positive, but I think that's what happened. But
Or they're
what is
trying
it-
to bring it back.
What is it that people are saying? Do you know about what is their argument why we should get rid of it?
I think it's more of a money thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have a lot of people just looking at the monetary part of it, But I honestly, I think it helps a lot of people when they look. It helped me when I went to jail. It made me realize a lot of things. I'm not saying jail's the answer,
No, of course not.
but and when you need a bail bondsman, look, man, we put people on payment plans. We make sure they go to court. If they don't show up for court, we hire a bounty hunter. I've bounty hunted a few times, but I only go with people who are absolutely professional and know what they're doing. Because it's very dangerous out there. It really is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And and again, like any other business, you hear about the bounty hunters that cross a line, and that's what you hear about.
Yeah.
But for every one of them, there's 1,000 of them out there doing the right thing. And so it's just important. If you see something, if you hear a news story, don't think it's the whole industry. That's what the police go through that.
Yeah.
One police officer does something wrong and goes in maybe too much excessive force or whatever. All of a sudden, it's like all the police are bad. That's not even it's not even an intelligent statement.
Yes.
But the bail industry, you guys are doing such a good job, and people like you who are coming in and right from the get-go want to really establish a tie in the community and really help people.
Yeah.
That's so important. What is your favorite thing about what you do?
Helping people. I realized that recently, especially since I've gotten sober. I love to help people.
Yeah. It's like to be able to do it from a position.
Yeah.
You're helping them in many ways.
Yep.
And we mentioned a moment ago that most of the people you're dealing with are just people who made a mistake. A lot of one-timers who just really screwed up.
Yeah.
Either because of a bad decision or because of alcoholism or something else. There's reasons for that. I imagine a lot of people you deal with are terrified.
Yeah. So I also feel that, when you're dealing with someone, say, for instance, the first DUI,
Yeah.
and they come out and they're all hung over and you can tell, some of them are still shaking and it's their first experience in jail. But when I say, hey, man, look, I was right where you are. I've had DUIs. Look, this is what I've done. I show them my diploma from rehab.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm like, look, this is what I did. And my life is like so many times better than what it used to be. And I feel like it plants that seed.
You're trying to give them some hope that
Yeah.
things can change. I imagine a lot of people think, oh shit, I got arrested and my life is over.
They do.
You get a lot of that, right?
Yeah. What's going to happen in court? And actually, the courts are there to help you as well. If you show up for court, if you pay your fines and fees, and you respect the court and the law, they will help you.
We had a great case of a girl She came out of New York. She came down here. She was out on bail. And these were serious charges. It involved weapons and drugs. And she was facing serious, but while she was on bail, she went to treatment. She spent 90 days in treatment before she went back to the court. When she stood in front of the judge, the same judge, that saw her at the preliminary,
Yeah.
he said he made her leave and go get more ID because he didn't believe it was the same girl.
Wow.
And then she ended up she had to do some things. She had to do drug court. She had to do a few other little things, but so much better than time in prison.
Right.
And I think that's important. I think a lot of judges are sitting there just saying, I just want to see that you own what you did and that you're going to make changes. And that's important, right?
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
You also deal with, let's talk about the real people who are panicked. The moms and the dads and the spouses that come in and they're terrified, and dealing with them, you can't just phone that in. You got to be all in emotionally with them, right?
Yeah, and I do. I'm like, look, my family was in the same boat, and they were for so many years. They didn't know if I was going to make it out or not, man.
Yeah.
They found me in a place where I was close to dead twice. Twice they found me like that.
You connecting with them. You've got to set them at ease a little bit. You're part of the process now.
Yes.
You're not just like set it and forget it. You got to be a part of the process.
Yes.
And so you're a support system for the whole family as well.
Yeah, so I am. And when you open that door, when you mention the word sobriety, and you say, and I tell them that I've done it, they want to know so many things.
Right.
And I'm the day after Christmas, I'm a year and a half sober. So I let them know what I did and what I know now, which I have so much more to learn.
Right. Yeah.
But what I know now, a year and a half sober is a good bit.
Yeah, of course.
And I've learned a lot.
And especially if you're taking care of yourself and trying to help others.
Yes.
What else could you want?
Right.
That's fantastic. There's a lot of places out there that, well, let me put it this way. Mom and dad got to go bail Johnny out of jail.
Yeah.
And so in any major city or even some of the smaller cities, you go by the courthouse, you're going to see 6-7 bail bonds set up around the courthouse.
Yeah, that's correct.
What's your advice to people? Because if they've never done it before, they're looking at these buildings, say, which one do I choose? And what should I expect? What would you tell them?
These days, I would look at reviews.
Okay.
That's number one. I would try to find someone who cares, because not only in our business, but in today's world, you have the rehabs. A lot of rehabs have bad reputations.
Absolutely.
For getting people in and taking their money, and the more people they get, the more money they get. Well, we have the same reputation, and I think a lot of other businesses have the same reputation. So you need to really get someone who really cares, and not only cares but has experience. Find out how long they've been in it. Go talk to them. It's like buying a car when you're getting someone out of jail. You're doing a business deal.
Right. Now, a lot of times they're not going to know whether the person is respectful and kind and anything else until you start talking to them. If they walk into a place and feel like they're being treated badly, I think some people are thinking, I still have to do this. You could leave and go somewhere else, right?
That is correct. And so many people walk into the office in a panic.
Yeah.
And they don't know what to do. So, and that's another thing I do when they walk in. I'm like, look, sit down, relax. I'll help you through this the best I can.
If they see you treat them well, they're going to assume you're going to treat your client well too. And if they're and I'm going to tell you right now, if you're treated poorly, how do you think they're going to treat your son or your daughter? So it's important that they get a good feeling from you. And it's part of salesmanship, but it's also part of really legitimately caring. You can't fake caring about these people, can you?
No, you really can't.
You get caught at it,
Yes, especially if you've been there.
Yeah.
And I have been there.
This sounds like more of a mission than a business for you.
That's what it seems like it's becoming, right?
Do you feel like that? Do you feel like you're mission driven? I want your business to succeed, but most people open a business. I'm going to make tons of money, and you're saying I want to make a difference.
I do want to make a difference, and also I think it's a plan. This is a plan, but it's not my plan. So this plan is coming from somewhere else. And I think you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's kind of like the way to what you've done in the past and what I've done in the past,
Uh-huh.
I could let it sit there, or I can make it mean something.
That's right.
That now I've got all this information, I've got these lessons that I've learned, I've got these experiences. What can I do with them moving forward, and how can I help people? So it's all, yeah, you're right. It's almost like it's an automatic. As long as you accept who you are, it'd be really easy for you to just say, well, I'm going to keep that separate from the business, but you don't mind mingling that.
No, not at all. And you know what? It actually opens up so many doors for me. And I like people
Really?
I love people to put that into my reviews. That, it's kind of like, hey, if I grew up with someone and they've been in the car business for 20 years, I'm going to call them up. Or any, home building business, whatever the business may be, restaurant business. If I need advice, I'm going to call them, right? So
Of course.
when I put it out there that I've been sober, even people that don't know me, and some people that I help out, they say, look, this guy Jeff has been down that road. Maybe you should give him a call. That helps me out tremendously.
Wow. I can expect, because you were so out there, I'm sure there's other people in the business who have been through issues.
Yeah.
But like I said, they try to keep their business and their personal life separate.
Yeah, sure.
But I don't see how you could succeed at a people business unless you're one of the people in it. You've got to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
That's great. I'd love to see more places really get more personal with people.
Yeah.
There are good places too. I mean, I don't want people to think that everyone else is doing it wrong. That's not what we're saying at all, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, there's a lot of great places out there, but really do your research. This is an important decision who you're going to be working with.
Well, I would also like to say, I was talking to Karen before the podcast.
Yeah.
And she said, hey, if you can get some other bondsmen aboard, even ones that, weren't in addiction,
Yeah.
Or alcoholism or had any mental health problems. Okay. Because they do have normal people out there. So anyway, what I mean is, if we get some other bail bondsmen and she could come down there and do a class, to learn how to, when they walk in the office, you have to teach people that are not like me and you.
Right.
To notice these things and notice where these people are emotionally, because these people walk in here, just the family. It's, that's real important when you can connect with the family, and maybe you can guide them into, getting some help, not necessarily a facility or a rehab, just maybe to go into an AA meeting, whatever, but it really is. I think it's important. I think the class that you guys teach should be mandatory.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
really, you might get someone who has mental health, and without the class, you're not going to be able to notice it. With the class, if you don't have any experience in it, you guys are teaching how to notice these things. And if you could catch someone who might be on their way to go committing suicide.
And being part of a network with
Right.
One Brother, One Sister, the bail industry, Beyond Bars Project. One of the things about being in this network is if you do notice it, you know what to do.
That's right.
I mean, a lot of times people might see it, but they're like, well, what the hell can I do? I don't know what to do. And you have some personal experience. You have some indication of what you should do or could offer.
Well, sure.
But for everybody out there, I mean, they're not blind. They got to see there's a problem, but they don't know what to do. This is where we get involved. You give us a call. We help you out. We do this and we can make a difference. We just said 80% of people who come in got some sort of disorder, substance abuse, mental health, at least 80%.
At least.
Now, if people make the mistake, they get bailed, they get help, that's going to reduce the recidivism amazingly. Do you agree with that? They're not going to be repeat criminals.
No. And not only that, the seed is planted. Look, it took a while for me to water my seed, right?
What, somebody just didn't walk up and say, get better? And
No.
you got better?
That's right. So my brother-in-law has 18 or 19 years sober.
Excellent.
Okay. This year. And he always stayed on me. And I always looked at him. And I always knew in the back of my mind, look what he did. And I'm going to tell you another thing too, speaking about the suicide thing, man, there was so many times that I'd wake up in the morning and I'd be like, wow, I did this again. I think I'm just going to take my own life. I'm serious.
Yeah.
And not only that, so my father died from this disease and a few other family members. One of my family members took his own life and another family member died from, cirrhosis of the liver.
And the shame is that there were people in their lives that knew
Yes.
something was wrong, but they didn't know what to do.
That's
or they
correct.
didn't have the help to get it done.
That is correct.
So this is an important part of what we're trying to do here together. Us and Karen and the rest of the bail industry, what we're trying to do is make sure that when you see something, you have resources, you have places to. I don't ever want somebody to say, "Oh, I knew they had a problem, but I didn't know what to do."
And look, that's still going on out there.
It happens everywhere.
Yep.
And we're trying to say, you guys are in a really great position because you get to deal with them in their moments of crisis.
That's right.
If they're talking to you, shit went wrong.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's somewhere in their head, they're saying, even if they don't want to quit drinking or drugging or whatever, they're going to be more receptive to a suggestion in that moment because they're in trouble.
Yeah.
If you let that moment pass too long, what do we do when we do things wrong? We forget about it. We pretend it didn't happen.
That's
We
right.
slip into denial, or we make excuses.
Or you continue to drink or drug.
You just continue. Yeah, listen, you know what? It got so bad. The only way I'm going to deal with this is by getting worse.
That's right.
No,
really. You drink it away or you drug it away.
But we're in a position now where when you step in front of somebody who's, the DWI, robbery, whatever they did, violence that was caused by these things, they're in a moment of vulnerability where you can offer them things.
Well, sure. And you know what you also see? A lot of relationships. You have a partner that doesn't drink, domestic things, right? Domestic situations. So you have a partner that doesn't drink and a partner that drinks or does drugs. That's causing so much problem in the relationship. I was that person myself.
Right.
So I know.
But all of these things add up to this train wreck.
Yeah. I call it a tornado.
All right, tornado. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
You can look at it and say, wow, that's far away. I'm fine. But sooner or later, it's going to get your house. It's going to get you.
It's going to get you.
Right. And there's not like, well, it'll never happen to me. It's just like, yeah, but when?
Right.
It will happen. It's kind of preordained, but unless you can get help.
So that's where I was at. That's what brought me.
Right.
I knew it was going to be death or prison for me. That's what it was going to. It was going to be that. It was going to be death or jail for me.
Was there a specific thing? Because everybody's a little bit different. For me, I got arrested in front of my house,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a moment of clarity for me where I said, I can't do this anymore. I'm looking at my house. I see my family moving around because it was dark out. The lights were on in the house, and you could see the shadows moving. And I thought, this is all gone. I'm not going to be able to fix this.
Right.
And that was my moment. Was there a specific thing that lit up something in your heart?
Yeah. So it really was. And now talking about this, it was getting pulled over. It was jail.
There we go.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
It was jail.
And for you, that must have been much more poignant because you've been helping people in jail
Yeah, right.
even before you got better. I mean, for 20 something years.
Right.
So they had to be especially hard on you to think about, now I'm going to go where I've been walking in freely.
That's right. That is correct. Look, I truly believe that. And if I'd have got pulled over one more time, that would have been it. That would have been it.
Right.
It would have been over.
Or were you heading towards
DUIs. I would have did 10 years. Oh, I would have hurt someone. I was really petrified, more of jail than anything. I'm telling you right now, the times that I went to jail, I've learned so much. Because when you see that environment, brother, you don't want to go back. But that's where the addiction comes in. It's so overpowering that you forget about that for a minute and you go back to doing it again. It takes every drink and every drug to get sober.
Yeah, that's why they call it a moment of clarity, because it doesn't stay with you. If you don't grab onto it right then and there,
Right.
you'll just forget it.
That's right.
And the same thing happens with painful things,
Mm-hmm.
or things that hurt. You got to run across these young kids. Yeah, how old are you?
I'm 49.
49. Okay, so you and I are, closer to the same generation. But these young kids that are rocking around and they're facing jail, and they're like, "I'll tear jail up," and they're all tough guys and everything.
Yeah.
You know who says stuff like that? People who've never been to jail.
That's right.
Have you had those circumstances where they're like, "I don't need you," and all of a sudden you're getting a call later saying, "Come and get me"?
Oh, so, well, when I really get it is when a lot of young people go to jail, they come out and they still want to be cool.
Right.
And they still want, oh man, I got this. Guess what? That was me too, brother.
Yeah.
That was me too. You know what I mean? I'd go, come out and go do the same thing over and over. But then I see them when they repeat what they did, they come back and like, man, I can't believe I did this again. I wish I would have listened to my
Yeah.
mom or listened to, took some advice.
All that false bravado, sooner or later, is just like, you know,
call
it
it
was
ego.
cool when I was in here for a couple of months, but I'm looking at years now or stuff like that. Or, you know, where they maybe just like, well, hey, I did county jail. That's not prison.
Right. I agree.
There's a big difference in there.
Yes, there really is. A big difference.
People need to know it. Has there been anybody that has stayed with you that made a real impression where you've been able to help them and there's been such a change? It just, you know, even back when you were still using it, but has there been people that you've helped people and you said, I'm so glad I do this job?
Yes, so just recently, after I met you guys,
Okay.
they had a gentleman, he came in for a second DUI. His parents called him, and they were in their early 70s. And I talked to the parents about y'all while I was getting him out of jail. And when he got out, I asked him, I said, do you think I ought to talk to him? And I opened up to him, showed him what I did, showed him my diploma. And a few months later, I go to the rehab to go to to go to a meeting, and the guy's getting ready to complete his program.
Wow.
Dude, it was so cool. He gave me a hug. It was just, and y'all got him into the rehab, so it was awesome.
Well, you're the process. I mean, we're a couple of cogs in the middle to help move you, but you're the one who had to make that determination. I'm going to help this person. But that stays with. I could tell when you talked about it, you just light up.
Yeah.
You know, and that's. I guess that tells you that you're doing the right thing, huh?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, I think it's a plan that it's not my plan, so I'm just following someone's direction.
But we also lose people. In my business and in your business, we lose people. You care about somebody, you get them out, you try to help them, whether it's addiction or not addiction or mental health or whatever, no matter what it is. You do care about some of these people, or probably all of them in some way.
Yeah.
But you care about them, and when you find out they crossed a line that they'll never come back, maybe they got killed, maybe this happened, maybe does that affect you? Do you feel that?
Yeah, I feel that from the family more than anything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and especially if I have a little relationship with them, which I build relationships with at least 75% of the people that I sit there and talk with. Some people,
Some people don't want to talk to you,
That's right.
because just take care of the bail. I want to pretend this never happened. Let's not talk.
That
right?
is true. That is true.
I'll see you in 2 months at the court, and that's it.
And you see a lot of those people back.
Yeah, I know, because they didn't deal with it.
That's right. They just sweep it under the rug.
And that's important. People face and take responsibility. That's part of change.
That's part of sobriety.
It's part of it's part of anything.
Right.
That if you're going to change behaviors, you got to own the behavior first.
That's right.
So if you pretend, oh yeah, well, you know, I stole that car, but I'm not really a thief.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you stole something, you're a thief. Deal with it.
That's right.
And you can fix it, because if your actions made you a thief, your actions can make you a philanthropist and not a thief. You give things away.
Right.
But if they pretend it didn't happen, it always comes back to bite them in the ass, doesn't it?
It does.
And you see recidivism all the time.
Yes, I do.
That must be hard, dealing with denial, because you probably get it more than anybody else. Because not only they might deny drug use or alcohol use, they're denying that they broke the law. The cops planted the drugs and all this. You got to hear that a lot.
All day. So I look at them now that I'm a changed person. I'm like, well, wait a minute, bro. Let me say this. I promise you this. I've been to jail multiple times, and I'm the one that put me in jail, not the police.
Yeah. Yeah. They get mad. I love when they get mad that the police caught them.
Right, exactly.
It's like, shouldn't you be mad at the fact that you put yourself in a position to be running, or that you should be doing something wrong?
And you see that 80% of the time as well.
Really?
And a lot of it from the family as well, too.
Oh, yeah. You got to get that. I just never thought about that.
Oh, yeah. And I'm
What
like,
about the mom who's convinced that her little boy Johnny has never done anything wrong in his life?
all the time?
So how do you deal with that? Because, I mean, you got to sometimes go in the back room and chuckle a little bit. I just got to,
Yeah.
there's got to be a little bit. But in front of them, how do you help them face truth when they don't want to?
I show them my diploma, and I'm like, I was in denial for 34 years. Really, I do. And I open the door in some kind of way like that.
Yeah.
Just to let them know that, I did the same thing that their kid was doing.
I guess it's kind of that, it's okay that you screwed up, because you can always change.
That's right.
And that's what you're trying to show them. They're afraid if they admit that Johnny's a thief, then he's always going to be a thief.
That's right.
No. He made a mistake and he became a thief. Maybe he became a thief for one day in his life. but he'll be a thief for a second day unless he recognizes that's what you did. And families, I imagine the family denial just feeds the client's denial too. Then, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
It makes them feel like what they did wasn't wrong.
yeah,
And it's all about blaming the system. That's what a lot of people blame, the system, the police and the system. No, it's not that.
no, because the police don't go walk around just say, "Hey, let's go arrest that guy."
No, that's correct. I've never seen a police officer do that.
No. And every police officer isn't perfect. I said that at the beginning.
That is correct.
They make mistakes, some of them, but 99.9% of police officers are great people doing great jobs. And let's be grateful for them, because do you want to strap a gun on and go do what they do? Do you want to walk up to a speeding car and not know if they're going to pull a gun on? That's a tough life. Let me ask you about your relationship with police and court. How important is that for your business?
It's extremely important. It really is, that you show them respect. And also, if you show them respect, they're going to show you respect. And once the word is out there, like, right, a lot of people really believe that I care, but it's because of my experience of being on the street. So once that gets out there, they have a lot more respect for you.
Well, in talking with you, because we've talked before this, and then I know Karen speaks very highly of you.
Yeah.
People believe you care because you actually do.
Right.
You can't fake that.
No.
You can't fake that. You really care about what you're doing. And I want to go back to the courts and stuff, because I think we see it a lot in movies and stuff like that, bail agents, bondsmen, bounty hunters, they group them all together all the time, which they're all different, but they group them together. But they're always portraying them like they're the outlaws. They're the ones who are like, the police don't like them and the courts don't like them and this and that. That's an exaggeration, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people understand. So what they see is, a lot of people see this just the money transaction.
Right.
So behind the scenes, you have extradition fees, okay? You have bounty hunter fees. You have to remind people. We remind people of their court dates.
Right.
You're helping people out with payment plans. You're always not getting all of your money. And another thing is, too, when someone misses court, we are completely responsible for that.
So if somebody gets a $10,000 bail, they're not giving you 10. Everybody thinks, they gave Jeff $10,000. Jeff is great for the day.
That's correct.
That's not what you get. You get 10% of that usually.
We do, and 2%. So Louisiana is 12%. 2%.
Okay, 12%.
2%. That is correct. 2% of that goes to the jail.
So you get $1,200.
That's right.
Part of that goes to the jail.
Uh-huh.
Part of that you got to pay for your employees or whatever you have. Part of that is got to be paid to a surety company who backs you.
That's correct.
Because you don't have all this cash sitting there. You have somebody back you in case things go south. So by the time it's all done, that $1,200 now becomes, maybe you're making $600 or $500.
That is correct.
To spend hours working on the case. I mean, it's not like you just go, give me the check. Okay, we're done.
Yeah.
You got to contact them constantly. You got a lot of things you got to do, right?
Yeah, we do. And the hours that you work, weekends, holidays. I have been at dinner with my family before and had to leave right in the middle of the dinner because someone wants to get out of jail.
They're so inconsiderate. They don't get arrested between 9 and 5.
That's right.
What the hell's wrong with them?
Yeah, that's right.
Don't get arrested at 8:00 on a Friday night.
Yeah.
Jeff's got to give up on his date, and he's got to go. You're right. That you've got to live by their hours.
That's correct.
It makes it hard for social life sometimes, right?
Yeah. So I don't think that we are like first responders. I think the police and the EMT people are the actual first responders.
Absolutely. Yes.
But, with that being said, we are coming in contact with these people as bail bondsmen as soon as they walk out of the jail.
Right.
Okay. So like I said earlier, the things that you guys teach, if you don't have an experience as a bail bondsman, I think it's very beneficial that you take the class. You just don't know who you're going to come in contact with. And without the knowledge, how can you help them?
And let me ask you this: let's talk about your business model for Jeff's Bail Bonds. Is it safer for you to have somebody in treatment while they're out on bail or out on the streets? For you, to ensure that they're going to be doing the right things and not, because if they take off and run, you're left holding the bag.
Yeah, well, you know what, they go to treatment as well, Scott, and a lot of them leave treatment. So it's 50-50. But when they are in treatment and you guys are letting us know that they're still there,
Right.
that's a big help. That's a huge help.
Which is part of this program. Part
That
of
is
this program
correct.
is that the bondsman has access to the fact that they're still there, still complying. They do not have access. I want to make this clear. You do not have access to their mental health condition, their therapy, the clinical information. All you get access to is that they're still there, that they're compliant.
That's correct.
And if they leave, the treatment center has a responsibility to call you immediately, and that way. And then even like in Florida, I'll tell you, we've had this work where we've had somebody on bail from it was up in New York. Another New Yorker was on bail, and they decided to leave treatment. So what we set up down here is we have relationships with hunters down here.
Mm-hmm.
So we make a quick call. Obviously, the bondsman gets called first, and then we can make a quick call. Within 20 minutes of them leaving that treatment center, somebody can be going to get them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really kind of good, right?
Yes. Well, it also lets us know immediately, okay, so this guy or, whoever decided to leave treatment. So we know what we're up against. Okay, they decided to not get help anymore.
Yeah.
So we know, look, they might go to court, but they might not. So we contact the family or whoever, or that person and say, look, you left treatment. Make sure you go to court. But we already know, look, there's a possibility that they might miss. So we're ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Do you ever think that maybe I should do something easier?
No.
There are a lot of easier things to do out there, my friend.
It's exciting as well, though. It really is. And that's another thing that I love a lot about it. It's really exciting. And, I love dealing with the people in the family. It's something different. Every time you open a door, it's a change. It's something new.
And you have relationships with other bond companies, other bail agents.
I do.
In different places, different states, things like that. That's important that you all work together too, right?
It really is. And now I'm going to write bonds with Roche Surety, which yesterday I flew out here and hooked up with them. And I'm going to tell you, I met Mr. Armando.
Okay, yeah.
Which is Shannon's father. And he has been in the business since the 70s. And he started out as a bail agent, and then he bought an insurance company. What a story. Shannon, and her son Blair, they're like unbelievable. I'm learning so much from them.
Just 2 shows ago, I interviewed Blair Harvey.
Right.
From Roche Surety, and he let us know about how they operate and what they do. And it sounds like they're a fantastic organization. They care about what they do, and they care about their relationships with the agents.
They do. They do.
This is important. Now, let's just, again, I know we touched on it, but let's talk about that real quick. What is the role of the surety with the agent? What is their role?
Their role, they allow us to write bonds.
Okay.
So they give us a contract, an insurance contract, and they allow us to write bonds. Now, they play a huge role, and especially Roche, like they're involved with all the states that they write bail in. They're involved some kind of way. Yes, they really are. They heavily involved. Shannon travels like all over all the time.
I know they get involved in like the Louisiana Bail Association. They get involved in the associations.
Yes.
And they also travel and just visit their agents too.
That is correct. And they're so hands-on.
And there's a lot of sureties who don't do that stuff. They're not hands-on.
That is also correct. She was telling me just yesterday, like they're immediately responsible when someone misses court. They're responsible, we are, but they are. People don't even see the role they play, which is a huge role.
Right.
That's, they're giving out checks for someone to get out of jail, and they have to trust that person, the bail agent, to write this check. That's why it's so important to be so hands-on.
And it's important to make a good connection with your client, because part of that first connection you make with them is also part of your risk assessment, isn't it?
That is correct.
So have there been times when you've talked to somebody that said, this is not a good idea for them to be out right now?
Yes. Oh, actually, yes, I have multiple times. I actually talked people out of, hey, he might need to sit for a while, or she might need to sit for a while.
You might say that to the families too, right?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I've done that multiple times. Look, leave them in there for a few days. But a lot of people think, because the people in jail are calling, oh, it's so awful in here. Yeah, it's awful because it's jail. It's not a nursery.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not a playground.
not supposed to be the Ritz.
That is correct.
I mean, come on.
Right.
If it was, you and I would just go now and just save, relax.
Right.
But it's difficult. But there are times when that is beneficial to somebody.
Yeah, because sometimes you need to sit down. I don't care who you are. At some point in life, you need to sit down somewhere, and get it together. And jail will help you sit down for a minute because that's all you can do is sit down and think.
I can only imagine that that people who don't take responsibility for what they did and that are in complete denial, those are the really risky people to deal with. And it's better they sit and think for a while. Is that correct?
Yeah. Look, that's my experience.
Yeah.
I cannot answer for everyone else, but that's my experience. A lot of people disagree with it. A lot of people disagree with the jail term completely. Okay.
Right.
And that's the people that are against, that's the people who are trying to do the bail reform.
Right.
Okay. They letting these people out with a signature. And I have been in a courtroom where these people who represent, these attorneys who represent bail reform, I mean, they are actually out there. And I'm going to tell you, they really fight for it.
Absolutely. I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to answer it any way you want.
Yeah.
Here's a big argument against bail.
Mm-hmm.
Two guys arrested for the same crime.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not the same crime together, but they both got arrested for maybe B&E or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're both sitting in jail. One guy has access to money because he's got his family. The other guy doesn't have any family and no money.
Right.
So this guy can get bail. This guy can't.
Mm-hmm.
They get assigned the same bail, maybe $5,000 or whatever it might be. This guy could be walking in a day. This guy can't. That's what one of the arguments is. Is there any way to rectify those kind of things, or is that something you'd be willing to try to brainstorm and come up with an answer?
That's a really good question. I don't have an answer for that question, but I can tell you this: the person that is sitting there without any money or without any family members, I always try to find a way to get them to help me get them out of jail. No matter what it is, I try to get them to dig really deep, and a lot of times I'm successful at it.
Now, I would assume there's times when, if 5,000 is nothing to one guy,
Mm-hmm.
and it's everything to the other guy, does a judge look at that as well when he sets bail? When he looks at somebody who has a lot of money and somebody who has no money, do they look at that because the hardship of coming up with that money is part of the assurity they're going to go to court?
Mm-hmm.
So do they do that sliding scale, if you will?
They don't do it. They don't set bonds according to who has what money. They look at the police report. They look at the crime. They look at their record. If they're repeat offenders, that's how the bond is.
Yeah, and maybe that's part of the problem too.
That is correct.
It's not. We're not looking at individuals and saying, because if Elon Musk gets arrested,
Well, sure.
you set $1 million bail, and he'd be just like, "Yeah, I'll be out for lunch."
Right.
I get arrested, and you give me a $50,000 bail, and I'm thinking like I'm going to be sitting here for months, and so I think that might require the bail industry,
Mm-hmm.
the judicial system, to all sit at a table and say, all right, are there solutions for this?
Well,
Should we be looking more at individuals instead of the crime?
That's a really good question. That's a really good topic. I haven't got to that point.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you think it's something that should happen, though? A topic that should be dealt with at some point?
Well, they do have what's called bail reduction, and you can hire an attorney, or you can file it on your own. While you're in jail, you might sit there a little longer, but
So there are some avenues for that.
Yeah, and there's also an avenue what's called a payment plan through a bail bondsman.
I think a lot of people don't know you can do that.
Yeah, absolutely, we do it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So part of the answer you already just gave me, and anything that's left over, I mean, you keep learning. Listen, the business has changed a lot in 24 years, hasn't it?
It has.
So who knows what's going to come up next? If you could change one thing about the bail industry in the next year or 2 years, what would you like to see happen? What is the one thing you think you would love to see?
The reputation.
You mean how the public sees you?
That's correct. That it's not just about money.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think conversations like this is what might bring people around,
I agree.
is to recognize that. Like I said, you could be doing a lot of jobs. You're going to make a lot more money than you are doing what you do. But you're making an impact on the community, on families, on individuals. And I thank you for that.
Yeah.
for helping us in our communities. And if there's other agents out there listening to the show, tuning in, whatever, this is what the attitude we should all have right now.
Yeah.
If you're not about making a better community, you're not going to be accepted into that community. You got to step up,
Mhm.
and we need to tell people about it, Jeff.
Yeah.
You
We
know?
need to be loud about it.
We do. We do. And I thank you for being so open and honest with, certainly with me, but with the clients and their families, to put yourself out there. I just can't imagine what would happen if we didn't have people like you. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
It's great. Look forward to your website soon. We'll
Yeah.
certainly put it out there because, I mean, come on, you haven't painted the walls yet. You're working on putting it together.
That's correct.
Where are you located in Louisiana?
It's going to be Southeast Louisiana. So kind of like from Tangible Hill Parish south, which is going to be the New Orleans area, the Jefferson Parish area, Tangible Hill Parish, Washington, St. Tammany, etc.
All right. Now, this might be an ignorant statement, but I would think New Orleans area is a hot spot for bail industry.
I think a lot
A lot of people travel there and do stupid shit.
that is correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was one of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Setting up outside of Disney, you're not going to get that much business, but you're outside of New Orleans.
That's a good one.
Yeah, they're going to be lining up.
Yeah. Right.
They're going to be lining up. I wish you luck with that, and I hope we can do this again sometime.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again for having me.
More than welcome. Please check out Jeff's Bail Bonds. Like I said, we will, when the website's available and all his information's out there, we will bring it to you right here at One Brother, One Sister. I want to thank all of you for taking a few minutes to learn a little bit more about the bail industry. Don't believe one headline. Don't take one headline and turn it into your thought process. Learn more. Talk to people. And if you, and I'm sorry if this happens, but if you're in need of a bail agent, talk to them. And if it doesn't feel right, grab your bag, grab your papers, and walk out. Go down the street. You should be treated with the dignity and care that every human being should be treated with, no matter what mistakes were made. Okay. Also, that's something else I want to ask. I'm ending the show, but I got to ask one last question.
What's that?
I talked about the family doesn't, they have choices.
Mm-hmm.
Does the person who is arrested have a choice? Can they say, I don't want to use you. Can I get somebody else?
That happens all the time.
Okay. Good to know.
It's just like I said, and this is an example that I use. If you go buy a car and you don't like the car, you get another car.
If you go buy a car and you don't like the guy selling it to you,
right?
You go down the street, you could buy the same. You just going somewhere else to get it.
That's correct.
Because nobody wants to deal with somebody they don't feel good about.
That's right.
And again, thank you. All right, Jeff Berry, Scott Jones, One Brother, One Sister. If you want to help us reach more people, go on and make a donation. OneBrother1Sister.com. All right, from Sober Life Studios, Scott Jones saying thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.